I got locked out of my own phone and someone was already texting my friends from it. It started with my phone locking me out. Not like normal, not forgot password or Face ID failed. It just stopped accepting me. I remember I was sitting in class, scrolling between assignments, when the screen froze for half a second. Then it kicked me out. When I tried unlocking it again, it said, "Password incorrect?" I stared at it, because I didn't change my password. Ever. I typed it again. Same thing. Then again, locked. 30 seconds later, I got a notification on my laptop. iMessage logged in from a new device. I frowned. I didn't log in anywhere. Then another message popped up. From my best friend. "Why are you texting me like that?" I opened it, and my stomach dropped. Because I hadn't texted him anything. But there it was. A message from me. "Don't talk to me at school today." I froze. That wasn't me. But it was my number. Same profile picture. Same everything. My hands started shaking. I opened my contacts. Scrolled to him. And the fake message was still there. Sent from my account. Then I got another notification. This time from my mom. "Why would you say that about your teacher?" I clicked it instantly. And again, messages I didn't send. From me. Saying things I would never say. Stuff that didn't even sound like me. I stood up so fast my chair hit the desk. My teacher looked at me. "Everything okay?" I couldn't even answer. Because at that exact moment, my phone screen lit up again. Unknown number. Message. "Don't tell anyone yet, you'll understand soon." And that's when I realized this wasn't just a glitch. Someone was inside my phone. And they weren't trying to hide it anymore. I stood there staring at that message. "Don't tell anyone yet, you'll understand soon." My first instinct was to show my teacher. But something stopped me. Because if someone was already inside my phone, then they might already be watching what I do next. So I sat back down, acting normal, even though nothing felt normal anymore. The next notification hit me during lunch. A photo. From my own Snapchat account. But I didn't take it. It was a picture of my school cafeteria, from a table I wasn't sitting at. And in the corner of the image was me, or someone who looked exactly like me. Same hoodie, same backpack, same posture, sitting with my friends, laughing. I zoomed in so fast my hand slipped. That wasn't me. I was sitting alone on the other side of campus. Right now, I stood up immediately and walked toward the cafeteria. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. When I got there, I saw them, my friends, sitting at our usual table, laughing, talking, and there I was, sitting with them, doing everything I normally do, except I wasn't there. I was standing across the room watching it happen. My stomach dropped so hard I felt dizzy. I walked closer slowly. One of my friends looked up. "Hey, you good?" I froze, because the me sitting at the table didn't even look up. Didn't react. Didn't acknowledge me. It just kept talking. Exactly like me. Same voice. Same hand movements. Everything. My friend frowned. "Why are you standing over there?" I pointed. "That's not me." He laughed. "What are you talking about? You're literally right here." The fake version of me finally looked up and smiled. At me. Not in a friendly way. In a knowing way. Like it had been waiting for me to notice. Then it said something that made my skin go cold. "Why are you staring at yourself like that?" My friends laughed. Like it was a joke. But I wasn't laughing. I stepped forward. "Stop, that's not me." The fake me tilted its head slightly and said calmly, "You're just confused." My friend stood up. "Bro, are you messing with us right now?" I shook my head. "No, that's not me." I looked back at the table, and now the fake me wasn't smiling anymore. It was just watching me, like it was studying how I'd react. Then my phone buzzed again. One message, from my own number. "You shouldn't have come here." I looked up instantly, and the fake me was gone. Just gone. My friends were still sitting there confused. "Where did you go?" I didn't answer, because my phone started ringing. Unknown number. I picked up without thinking, and a voice said, "I can do everything you can do." I froze. Then the voice continued, "And no one will believe you." The call ended. I walked out of the cafeteria slowly, my hands shaking, trying to convince myself this was some kind of prank. But deep down I already knew. This wasn't random. Someone wasn't just using my phone. They were using me, and whatever that thing was, it wasn't done yet. By the time school ended, I wasn't even trying to act normal anymore. I just wanted to get home, delete everything, restart my phone, something. But when I checked my messages again on the walk home, there was already damage. My mom had texted me, "Why did you leave school early without telling anyone?" I stopped walking. I hadn't left school. I was still there. Then another message popped in, from my teacher. "You need to explain your behavior today." Behavior? What behavior? I opened the thread, and my stomach dropped again. There were messages from me, saying I refused to participate in class, saying I argued with the teacher, saying I walked out during instruction. None of that happened. But it was all time-stamped, all believable, all me. I started walking faster. My hands were shaking again. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Check your door camera." I stopped completely. My house was only a few minutes away. I started running. When I got home, my mom was already outside, waiting, arms crossed, not looking happy. She said, "We need to talk." I said, "Before you say anything, check my phone. Someone is using it. Someone is pretending to be me." She frowned. "What are you talking about?" I pulled up the messages. Showed her everything. Her expression changed slowly. Confusion, then concern, then something else. She said, "This is serious." I nodded, "I know." Then I showed her the last message. "Check your door camera." My mom hesitated, then walked inside. I followed. We pulled up the camera feed, front porch, live. At first, nothing. Just the street. Then, someone walked into frame. I felt my stomach drop instantly. It was me, standing at the door, knocking. Same clothes I wore earlier that morning. Same backpack. Same posture. My mom turned to me immediately. "Why are you outside?" I said, "I'm not." We both stared at the screen. The fake me waited at the door, then leaned in, and said something into the camera. My mom turned up the volume, and we heard it clearly. "Can I come in? I forgot my keys." My mom looked at me, then back at the screen. "Only you have your keys." I nodded. "Exactly." The fake me smiled at the camera, and said, "She won't let me in." Then it turned, and walked away, like it knew it was done there. My mom stepped back slowly. "This isn't a prank." I said, I told you. Then my phone buzzed again. One message, from my number, but this one wasn't threatening. It was worse. It said, I did everything you do today. Tomorrow I'll do it better. I looked at my mom, and for the first time, she didn't have an answer. Just silence. Because now it wasn't just copying me. It wasn't just messages. It wasn't just school. It had learned how to replace me. And the worst part? It was getting faster. The next day felt wrong. Not scary in an obvious way. Just off. Like I was walking into a version of my life that didn't fully include me anymore. It started in the morning. My phone buzzed before I even got out of bed. Group chat. My friends. But something was different. One of them had sent a message. Are you coming or is she coming? I frowned. She? Then another message popped in. Your other you is already here. I sat up so fast my heart kicked. I typed back. What are you talking about? No reply. Just silence. I got to school early. Way earlier than usual. I needed to see what they meant. The hallways were almost empty. Then I saw them. My friends. Standing by the lockers. Talking. Laughing. And then I saw it. Me. Again. Not on a phone. Not a picture. Standing there. Real. Talking to them. Exactly like me. Same voice. Same laugh. Same everything. But this time, they were laughing harder than they ever laughed with me. I stepped closer. One of my friends looked up. Hey! I froze. Because he wasn't looking at me. He was looking at the other one. The fake me. I said, yo. He glanced at me. Confused. Like I interrupted something. Oh, hey. Just hey. No reaction. No excitement. Nothing. The fake me turned slowly. Saw me. And smiled. Not surprised. Not scared. Just calm. Like it expected me. Then it said, you're late. My friends laughed. One of them said, you're funny today. I said, that's not me. They stopped laughing for half a second. Then one of them said, bro, what are you talking about? You're both right there. I turned to him. No, that's not me. He frowned. Why are you doing this again? Again, that word hit harder than anything else, because it wasn't confusion anymore. It was repetition. Like this had already been accepted. The fake me leaned against the lockers, casual, comfortable, and said, you're making this weird. I said, stop copying me. It tilted its head. I'm not copying you. Pause. I'm just better at it. My stomach dropped. Because my friends didn't react to that like it was strange. They just laughed again, like it was a joke. A normal joke. I looked at them. Are you serious right now? One of them said, dude, chill, you're acting different today. Different. Not fake, not wrong. Different. That's when I noticed something worse. They were starting to look at me less, like I was the extra one in the group. Not her, not it. Me. I pulled out my phone fast, opened messages, scrolled, and saw it. Text from my friends. From last night. From this morning. All saying things like, she's way easier to talk to. She actually gets it. She didn't ignore us. I felt my hands go cold, because I hadn't done any of that. The fake me stepped closer, and said quietly, they like consistency. I said, what did you do? It smiled. I just showed up when you didn't. That line hit worse than anything before it, because it wasn't a threat. It was logic. I said, you're ruining my life. It shook its head. No. Pause. I'm replacing the parts you don't finish. My friends were now fully focused on it. Not me. Not even checking if I was still there. One of them said, are you coming to lunch or are you staying weird again? They were talking to it. Not me. I said, I'm right here. No response. The fake me picked up my backpack from the ground. Mine. And said, let's go. And they followed it. Just like that. I stood there. In the hallway. Watching them walk away with it. Like I wasn't even part of the decision. And for the first time, I realized something terrifying. It didn't need to beat me. It just needed to show up more consistently than I did. And slowly, that was enough. By the afternoon, I wasn't just being ignored anymore. I was being replaced in real time. Not in a dramatic way. In a quiet, system-level way. Like I was slowly getting edited out of my own life. It started with attendance. I went to my next class and sat down like normal. The teacher looked up. Paused. Then said, you're not on my roster. I blinked. What? She turned her laptop toward me. My roster doesn't show you in this period. I said, that's impossible. I've been in this class all year. She frowned slightly. Then said, I'm sorry, I don't see your name. I pulled out my phone immediately. Opened the school app. My schedule loaded. But my classes were wrong. Not just missing one thing. Everything was slightly off. Like I belonged somewhere else. Then I got a notification. School email. From administration. Subject line. Schedule update confirmation. I opened it. And my stomach dropped. Because it showed a correction had been made. My name. Moved. Removed from 2 classes. Reassigned to an empty period. Like I had been adjusted. Not a student. A record. I walked out of class immediately. Heart racing. Trying to figure out what was happening. And then my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. You're noticing now. I stopped walking. Because I knew that voice. Or at least the pattern of it. It was her. Or whatever was doing this. I typed back. What are you doing? Reply came instantly. Making it simpler. I said, simpler for who? It responded, for them. I looked up. And saw my friends again. Down the hallway. But they weren't looking for me. They were laughing with the other version again. Like I wasn't even part of the building anymore. I walked closer. One of them looked up. But only briefly. Then said, oh, hey. Same response as before. Flat. Uninterested. Like I was a stranger they vaguely recognized. I said, do you guys even realize what's happening? One of them shrugged. She's been here all day. She again. Not me. I pointed down the hall. That's not me. They all paused for a second. Then one of them said, bro, you said that yesterday too. Yesterday. Like this had already been accepted into their memory. The fake me walked up behind them, carrying my jacket now, like it owned it, and said, you're confusing them. I turned to it. Stop talking like you are me. It tilted its head. I am what they respond to. That sentence didn't make sense at first. Then it did. Too much. I said, you're stealing my life. It corrected me immediately. No. Pause. I'm continuing it. My stomach dropped again. Because that wasn't chaos, that was structure. Then my phone buzzed again. A new message. From my mom. I picked you up early, where are you? I froze. Typed back. I'm at school. Reply came instantly. No, you're not. I just drove past and saw you leave with your friends. My heart stopped. Because I was at school, standing right here. I looked up and saw the fake me's group leaving the campus gate, laughing. Walking out, like the day was done, like I had already left with them. I turned my phone toward them. Hit call. My mom answered immediately. I said, I'm still here. Silence. Then she said slowly, I just saw you leave. I looked at the group again, and now it clicked. They weren't just copying me. They were rewriting what people remembered seeing. I whispered, that's not possible. The fake me turned slightly, looked back at me, and said, memory is easier to control than presence. Then it walked away, with my friends. And they didn't look back, not once. I stood there alone in the hallway, watching the system decide I wasn't here anymore. And for the first time, I realized the worst part wasn't being replaced. It was that everyone else was starting to believe it was normal. That night, I didn't go home right away. I just stayed outside the school gates after everything closed, waiting, watching my phone like it might explain itself. But it didn't. It only got worse. Every notification I checked made less sense than the last. My name was still on some systems, gone on others. My messages were still sending, but replies were going to me in places I wasn't even part of. Like the world had split my identity into two versions, and picked the other one. Then my mom called again. I answered immediately. She sounded stressed. Where are you? I said, I'm at school, I told you. She paused, then said something that made my chest tighten. I saw you at the grocery store. I froze. What? She said, I literally just saw you. Same hoodie, same backpack. You walked past me and ignored me. I looked down at myself. Same hoodie, same backpack, same everything. But I hadn't left the school. At all. I said, that wasn't me. She didn't respond right away. Then who did I just see? I didn't have an answer. Because now it wasn't just classmates. Not just friends. Not just school. It was my own mom. I turned slowly toward the empty school parking lot. And that's when I saw it. The fake me. Standing near the exit. Watching me. Waiting. Like it knew I would notice it eventually. I walked toward it. Carefully. Slow. My heart pounding in my ears. It didn't move. Didn't run. Just waited until I was close enough. Then it said, you're starting to understand now. I said, what is this? It tilted its head. You're not being erased. Pause. You're being corrected. That word hit harder than anything before. Corrected. Like I was an error. A mistake in a system. I said, why me? It stepped closer. And said, because you weren't consistent. I shook my head. That doesn't make sense. It replied immediately. It doesn't need to. Then it pulled out my phone, my actual phone, and showed me something I hadn't seen before. A folder. Hidden. Inside my own device. Named. Backup. I grabbed for it. But it pulled the phone back calmly. Inside the folder were videos. Photos. Messages. All of them showing me doing things I never did. Smiling in places I've never been. Talking to people I've never met. Living a version of my life that looked real enough to replace mine. I said, this is fake. It looked at me. And said, it's already been used. I felt my stomach drop again. Because that meant something worse. It didn't need to convince me. It just needed to convince everyone else. Then it said something quieter. Almost like it was finishing a thought. People trust patterns, not truth. I stepped back. This isn't normal. It nodded. No. Pause. This is efficient. Then it turned slightly, like it was done talking. Like it had already accomplished what it came for. I said, where are you going? It paused. Then said, to continue tomorrow. And just like that, it walked away. I stood there alone in the empty parking lot, watching it leave with my life already halfway gone. And for the first time, I realized something I didn't want to accept. It wasn't trying to destroy me. It was trying to replace me completely. One believable moment at a time. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw it. Not like a monster. Not like a glitch. Just me, walking through my life like it belonged there. The next morning, I didn't go to school. I stayed home. Locked my door. Checked every device I owned. Changed passwords. Reset accounts. Anything I could do to take control back. But by 9:12 a.m., my phone lit up anyway. Unknown number. You can't fix what's already been accepted. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my school portal, just to check. My name was gone from attendance entirely. Not replaced. Not moved. Just missing. Like I had never been enrolled. I refreshed it again. Same result. Then my mom knocked on my door. Are you coming out today? I said no. She paused. Then said something quieter. I saw you again this morning. My stomach dropped. I opened the door. What do you mean again? She looked tired. Confused. Like she didn't even understand her own words. I saw you leaving with your friends. You waved at me. I shook my head. That wasn't me. She stared at me for a long second. Then said, I don't know what's real anymore. That hit harder than anything else so far, because it wasn't just me questioning reality anymore. It was her too. My phone buzzed again. This time a video. No name, just autoplay. It showed my school, but from inside. Security camera angle. The fake me was walking through the hallways, talking to teachers, laughing with students, signing into classes, being called by my name, responded to like it belonged there. And no one questioned it. Not once. Then the video cut. To a classroom. My classroom. My seat. Empty, like it had always been empty. I felt my chest tighten, because I could literally see myself being removed from memory. Not just socially, physically, systematically. Then a final message appeared. You were never missing, you were just duplicated. I whispered, stop. No reply. I grabbed my keys. Left the house immediately. I didn't care where I was going. I just needed to see it in person again. When I got to school, everything looked normal. Too normal. Students walking. Bell ringing. Teachers talking. Like nothing had ever happened. Like I was the only problem in the system. I walked into the hallway. And saw it. Me. Standing at my locker, talking to my friends. Laughing. But this time, something was different. No one looked confused anymore. No double takes. No hesitation. They all reacted to it like it was the only version of me they knew. One of my friends saw me and frowned. Why are you standing there? I didn't answer. I just looked at them. Then at it, the fake me turned slowly, like it felt me there before it even saw me, and said, "You came back." I said, "What did you do?" It closed my locker and said calmly, "I made things simpler." I said, "By replacing me?" It nodded slightly. "No. Pause. By finalizing you." My heart dropped. "What does that mean?" It stepped closer and said something I'll never forget. "You don't disappear when you're erased. You just stop being referenced." I shook my head. "That's not real." It looked at me and said, "But it is happening." Then it gestured around, at everyone, at everything, at my life continuing without me inside it, and said, "You're still here, just not required anymore." Silence. My friends laughed at something it said behind me, not even noticing I was standing there. I whispered, "Then what am I?" It looked at me for a long second and said, "A leftover version." Then it turned away and walked back into my life, and no one stopped it, not even the people who used to know my name.